The 20th anniversary of National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And now that online sports betting is legal in the Commonwealth, experts say more cyber criminals have their eye on the bluegrass and your private data.
WKYT's Kelsey Soto is talking with professionals about the risk and how to limit your exposure.
Whether you download one or you download them all, each and every time you input your data online, your chances of being hacked increases.
When you start giving your social security number for a lot of these is required, right? In addition to your location, because sports betting isn't allowed everywhere and isn't legalized everywhere. So when you're giving apps the authorization to know where you are, and again, just the incredible amount of privileged private information that you have to give in order to get those accounts, there is a risk associated with that.
At a conference last week, the CEO of Churchill Downs Inc. told media outlets they started seeing attacks with their online business a few years ago. But the gaming industry as a whole is dealing with increasingly effective social engineering attempts. That's where hackers try to gain access into systems through human error.
And what cybercriminals have done with some betting apps in the past is if they get access, whether it's authentication credentials or through the back end, and they can get into accounts, they can wipe you out.
Anyone who has personal data compromised in a data breach should carefully check their bank statements for at least a year following the incident, because it can take that long or longer for stolen info to be used in identity theft. Be sure to change any passwords associated with the breach and cancel any credit cards that could have been involved. In Lexington, Kelsey Soto, WKYT.
In the last few months, both MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment say that they have been the victims of cyber attacks. It is unclear how many individuals have been affected by the data breach.